Pretty Dece, here we go. Facebook.com/Pretty Show. It's time to geek out with Josh, your host.
What's up, everybody? I'm Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, and welcome to Pretty Dece, the short show about movies, comics, games, and all the pop culture in between. Last week in the world of movies, we found out that Ghostbusters is making a return again. So Jason Reitman, who is the son of Ivan Reitman, the original director of Ghostbusters 1 and 2, is working on a follow-up to those first two films that his father made. We got a short teaser trailer, and we found out the film is called Ghostbusters 3, and it's coming in 2020. Now, the teaser shows us a brief glimpse of the Ghostbusters car Ecto-1. It's been abandoned and covered up in this old barn. And of course, we get to hear some of the original Ghostbusters score and a little bit of the kind of like ectoplasm on a fence and things like that. So it's very Ghostbusters-y, but we really don't see much other than a very brief hint of Ecto-1. But it certainly has people excited about the potential for more Ghostbusters. And Jason, of course, as I mentioned, is the son of Ivan Reitman, but Jason is also an accomplished director in his own right. He's directed films like Thank You for Smoking and Juno, so some very heavy hitters that he's worked on his own. Now he's circling back around and he wants to work on the films that really put his father on the map. He talks about the fact in interviews that he's maybe the earliest Ghostbusters fan because he was on set when he was a child. He even had a one-line role in Ghostbusters 2, and he loved the look and the feel and the sound of Ghostbusters, and always kind of in the back of his head had thought about coming back and revisiting this world. And here we are, 20-some years later. Now, there's no word on whether the original cast of Ghostbusters are going to be featured in the film. We can certainly get 3 of the 4 of them, potentially. Unfortunately, Harold Ramis passed away in 2014, and he played Egon Spengler. But we could get Dan Aykroyd reprising his role as Ray Stantz, we could get Ernie Hudson coming back as Winston Zeddemore, or we could get Bill Murray coming back as Peter Venkman. So that stuff's still up in the air. It certainly would be cool to see them. It doesn't seem like they will be the main focus of Ghostbusters 3, however. The film is rumored to focus on teens who are picking up the mantle of Ghostbusters, 2 boys and 2 girls. So a new mix of a team, but it's at least reasonable to assume that maybe they would meet some of the original Ghostbusters along the way. Now, not everyone is excited about the prospect of Ghostbusters 3. Leslie Jones, who starred in the 2016 Ghostbusters reboot, the all-female reboot of the series, let her feelings be known on Twitter about this new Ghostbusters 3 film. She called the film, quote, so insulting. She said that we didn't count, meaning her and the rest of the cast of the 2016 film, and she went so far as calling it a dick move to even be creating this film and not featuring the female cast in it. Now, to her credit, it does feel a bit weird that they're just calling this new film Ghostbusters 3. It almost feels like they are intentionally ignoring the 2016 film. However, that film didn't really do so hot in the box office, and from a business standpoint, it might make the most sense to simply move on and ignore that film. And yeah, it might come across as a little weird, at least from her end, just to see him skip over her movie and kind of ignore it. But to his credit, Reitman wasn't ignoring that film during interviews. He said that he had so much respect for what Paul Feig, who's the director of the 2016 film, created with those brilliant actresses. And he went on to say that he would love to see more stories from them. However, his new film would follow the trajectory of the original film. That's respectful, that's reasonable. He is a director who wants to follow up his father's work on the first 2 films. He doesn't have that personal connection with the 2016 Ghostbusters. So it's something that maybe is best for business, but I think also makes a lot of sense from a personal standpoint for him as a director. And it's pretty cool that he was able to shout out the 2016 film. I would imagine that Leslie Jones is a bit on edge because I think most of the criticism of that reboot film was unfortunately not centered on the quality of the film itself, but on the fact that it was an all-female reboot, and it really brought out kind of the grossest parts of the internet as people hated on the fact that it was featuring an all-female cast. Was it a perfect Ghostbusters film? No, but it was certainly a pretty fun film, and for what it's worth, I did enjoy watching that movie. But unfortunately, some of the most diehard fans, in the most ironic of air quotes, just wouldn't give that film a chance. Nonetheless, I am excited to see more Ghostbusters in whatever form that it comes in, and I'm certainly especially excited to find out if the original Ghostbusters cast is going to show up in this film in any way. So we'll get a lot more word on it and you know, full trailers and stuff as we get closer to the release date, which is very far away still. But it's certainly good and exciting news, I think, in my opinion, that Ghostbusters 3 is coming. So that's going to do it for Pretty Dece for today. Thank you very much for joining me to talk about Ghostbusters 3. If you want to support Pretty Dece, visit prettydeceshow.com/listener support to find out how. Of course, download the show from your favorite podcast delivery platform, wherever you get your podcasts, or check out the show on YouTube. Visit youtube.com/prettydece to hit up the channel. And finally, find me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Pretty Dece Show.